Hi, everybody. This is Chris,
Hi, this is Matt.
and we're gonna talk about Stormfront. We're gonna
Oh,
talk about
geez.
Stronghold. This is not gonna go well tonight.
Nope.
you know, I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's kind of the feel for this game in general. Anyway, it it's all kinds of broken little bits, especially at the beginning here. Um, like
Yeah,
we're
the wrap up is weird. Like right from the get go, you know that something is off and strange about this game because the demo comes on.
Mhm.
There's no real intro screen. Like there's that little lightning bolt thing, but and
Right.
then you're like in this demo that you have to exit out of, which is, I mean, it's not bad, but it's just like it
No other
feels
games
weird.
start you in the demo. Most take you to a title screen, let you pick what's happening next. This kicks you right into, like if it was an arcade game, it'd be what's called a tracked mode, where it's just playing little bits of the game and talking about it and trying to sell you on the game. But you've already bought it and brought it home, so
Yeah,
I don't know who they're selling to.
yeah, it's strange.
Hmm.
Uh, but overall, a really good game. I think
Yeah, a
I
surprise.
was I was surprised.
Yeah, this I like we've played this game before and we remember it. And I'll bet if we play this game again in 10 years, we'll be just as surprised that
Yeah.
it's good. Um,
What do you remember about this the first time you played it? Tell me what that experience was like.
the first time I played it,
Yep.
I remember not understanding a damn thing about it and putting it back on, uninstalling it in
Exactly.
a day
Exactly.
and
Same
just
here.
walking away. Um, if you know what's going on in this game and you take the time to learn it, it's a really cool, interesting game. If you think you're going to just pick it up, probably not going to have a good time.
Right. It's a D&D game, but it's the weirdest application of the D&D rule set
Well,
in
and
the
it's
history of the whole world. Like
so
it's bizarre. And so you like you're a kid, whatever, teenager, and you get this D&D game, and it's just like one little like scene after another,
mhm.
and it's just bizarre.
It's an RTS that plays like Myst that uses D&D basic rules instead of the more popular AD&D rules. If I
Right.
said that to anybody, there is nobody who would say this is a fun game.
Yeah. And the AD&D rules were out,
Yeah.
right? When this came
Oh,
out. Why
they had
didn't they
already
use
made
them?
several gold box games with the AD&D rules. So somebody just decided that they liked the D&D rules better, which I mean, as somebody who played D&D around that time, I get it. There's a certain fun of simplicity to it, but I don't I don't know. I want an answer here. I don't want to just be like, "Brr, brr, 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 brr," but
Yeah, I, I I don't know either.
I don't I don't
It's
have a good
it's
answer for it.
mysterious.
It is.
The
Um,
game is one mystery after another. Like so little of it is intuitive. Uh, but again, let me say, a really fun game
mhm,
once you get into it.
right. It's got a handful of drawbacks, which I'm sure we'll talk about. I don't even know, like even the stuff I described, like in RTS that plays like Myst with basic D&D, none of those even really make it work. Because like in an RTS, you can pick which troops you want, send them over somewhere, and you can pick other troops you want and send them over somewhere. The way you have to get around doing that is so convoluted in this game that it really is more of a I would like some troops here, and you put a little spot down, and some troops will go there. But you have very little control over which troops go there. You can set some to be ready to move, but
Yeah, as an I thought of it more as a management game than an
Mm-hmm.
RTS, because
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say next. Is like, and then even doing the RTS thing. Well, that's a lot of the game. It's not really the core of the game.
right, the core is building your kingdom, and you came into this kind of deep into the game, and
Yeah.
you're fighting a kobold horde or whatever here,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool to see because it does take a while to get into this part of the game.
Yeah.
But the thrust of the game is to your west,
Mm-hmm.
where your kingdom is. Uh, so you're just kind of like, you know, dealing some damage over here with these kobolds. But
Right. I picked this one because it does take such a long time to ramp up and get into this game. I didn't want to have like half an hour of us watching me build 3 buildings.
right,
And we will see me build some buildings in here, and we will see me get back to that.
yeah.
What did
No,
you?
this is good to see.
Yeah. What did you think of the building selection? I know we're going to be completely off topic with what's going on the screen for a second, but
No, the the interface on the whole is a little. I mean, it's not a bad interface, but especially the building selection is a
mm-hmm.
bit convoluted because you have to go into a list of buildings and then you choose your building, but that doesn't place the building. That just chooses what the active building is,
And
and
it's not
then you
always labeled
place
right.
right. That my one of my two big pet peeves with this game is that you don't know the building names aren't consistent. So
Mm-hmm.
something will be called a like a mage tower or a magic mill, a university, and like mage training or something like that, and they're all the same building. Uh, and I don't know why they did that.
I get the feeling, genuinely get the feeling, this game is not done. That this was a game they got 90% done, and some manager somewhere went, "We're done waiting for you. We're
Yep, roll it
publishing
out.
this."
Yep,
And that I still enjoy it is amazing.
right. It's yeah, it's a fun game, and it's fun to watch your kingdom grow. And
Mm-hmm.
when things are going well, they're really going well.
I'm going to move me down to the corner here for a second because I want people to be able to see that map in the upper right hand corner, which I was
Oh yeah,
kind of
yeah,
getting over it. Because that's sort of the overworld map, and we should just talk about that right side. Because
yeah.
it's almost like what's happening in the scene is a movie you're watching, and everything you're doing is on the that right hand bar there.
That's an interesting way of thinking about it, but yeah, that's totally what it is. So
So,
yeah, at the top you have your mini map, which is a grid, but it's a grid of rectangles,
yep.
which is fine, but not what you would expect.
Notice how whenever
It,
anybody says, which is fine, they don't mean it's fine.
no, it's really weird, and it makes it hard to tell which squares have a guy in it, which
Mm-hmm.
squares have two guys in it, because it's not like how you would expect it to be.
Right.
So that's the map, and you can switch it,
Yeah.
which sometimes you do have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then the interesting thing under that is the pyramids.
The
So
pyramids are really
let's
interesting.
talk about the pyramids.
You want to start or do
You
you want
start.
me?
Start.
Pyramids?
Go.
So the pyramids are how you control each sector's uh, power balance, or what would you even call it?
Like the priority
Resource
of your
management? Yeah,
citizen.
resource priority. So obviously there's 3 things anybody in that sector can be doing is training, recruiting, or building. And you grab the middle of the pyramid and you drag it around. So you're adding weight to each size as you drag it. So if you want buildings built real fast, you might say, okay, I don't want anybody recruiting out of here. And you can just drag it all the way up and start building things faster. But you won't get any new recruits from that sector and you won't have them advance. And I think that's neat that your troops are always advancing.
Right.
That even if they're just hanging around town, they're always moving forward and getting better at things. So it's fairly straightforward, but it's a really interesting mechanic, and that you get to do it not as a kingdom, but as each individual section is
Right.
both
And,
interesting and annoying.
right. And it's every so you have a party. We're getting ahead of ourselves
We
here.
are, yeah.
Um, but you have a party, and
Yep.
that's who you see: Freeman,
Right.
Zayag, etc.
Yeah.
That's your whole party, right? And every square you can set your priorities different for every guy. Now you don't really have to do that a lot because they're kind of in neighborhoods,
Yeah.
but it can get confusing because I'll find myself like, oh, I could have sworn I set all these pyramids for build.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and it's because I have the wrong
Wrong
person
pyramid
selected.
there.
Uh,
You
so
can
that it's a
multi-group
weird system.
a sector though. Like you can have like elves and dwarves building in the same sector.
Yeah, you can. Yep.
So it's possible, but you end up not doing it because whoever gets there first declares it their home, and
Right.
just they're the ones then you want to build stuff for because they're the ones going to take care of things. You can declare more than one unit to have a home in something, but you almost don't want to, because part of the way you can win or raise your level in the game is by just having more city blocks and having a bigger kingdom.
Right.
So here you
Yeah, and that's another weird thing about the game. We're just going to jump all over the place because all this stuff is tied together.
well it's so this is not a game that in any way shape or form is linear. There's no way for us to sit down and say here's the path other than you start by building and then all bets are off. you're gonna
Yeah.
you're
So
gonna go all over the place.
so you have like a main leader,
Hmm.
and that's I guess that would be you,
Right.
and then you have party members, um, which you see in the on the bottom right, and they're all a part of your larger kingdom, but they all have their own class of characters, and you share between them, but not directly.
You can
It's
share
and
between
it's
them if you
so
build a
weird.
marketplace, because then you can access the community pot, but otherwise you're building like five mini kingdoms and then getting them to work together.
Right.
Which
It's so weird.
and cool though.
Yeah.
I
But the things that are so strange about it is that um, your alignment determines how you win, and I never understood that. Do you understand that? Because if you're lawful, you win by becoming an emperor. If you're
and
chaotic, yeah, you win by killing everyone else. And if you're neutral, you have to do both.
yeah. I feel like it's meant to be like a difficulty slider, and it's just poorly implemented. Um,
So, so yeah, I suppose it might be like that, but clearly neutral is the most difficult because you
right.
have to do both. But is it easier to become emperor or is it easier to wipe everyone else out?
I don't know because my game always crashed.
Oh,
I would get everybody like in a pretty stable large kingdom, and then so I'd have five good sized little villages, and then I'd start just smoking all the monsters around, and after I'd smoke like the second or third monster dungeon, the game would crash. And even if I reloaded, it would immediately crash again, like a couple
oh,
things in. So that's one of my caveats about this game is I I can't play a long term game. I can't finish it because I can't get it to stay stable.
yeah. I did not crash, but maybe I didn't get as far as you. Like I definitely got into combat
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit, and I like wiped out a couple people, but I played a few different games. Like I stopped and started a few different games
Yeah.
because I didn't understand if I should make a whole party right away, or if I should focus on one guy and then kind of gradually build up my kingdom. And it doesn't really give you a lot of guidance uh, in the game on the right way to do it.
Well, I don't think it matters, um, which is nice because I don't think it matters. But I think it's a matter of your own ability to multitask is really
Yeah,
what determines how many you should bring out and set up. Because if you're good, if you've played this game a few times and you know what you're doing, getting them up as fast as possible is a you want to do because then they're starting to make money and they're starting to build things and you're going to have stronger people sooner. But you can only build them within areas you can see. So,
right,
like these 3D views we're seeing are considered the area you can see with your units.
right,
So you can build within that area if you've got a unit in the square, or you can build a party member somewhere within it.
right,
Otherwise, it's too far away. You can't do that. So it's sometimes worth it to like wait and walk somebody out. So in one of the other games that I didn't record, I had dwarves and I put them up in the mountains with a bunch of mines, and I literally couldn't build the vaults fast enough for all the gold
really
they were getting. It was
nice.
amazing. But in the next breath, other than the shared market thing, I couldn't get that gold to any of my other teams. So even though they had a vault of 16,000 gold, nobody else could use it. My elves were decimated by some attacks that had happened, and my cleric was running out of money constantly. But my dwarves were
Right.
rich beyond.
How many did you build? If you build 10 markets, that gives you 100% access to the fund.
Oh, I suppose it would, wouldn't it? But I'd have
So
to be able to get to the point where I could afford 10 markets.
exactly. Yep. Yep. That's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that frustrated me about that was that I read in the manual. It said in the manual, you cannot build more than 10 markets, and that is not true. You can't.
Yeah, the manual's worthless. But
Yeah. The
normally,
manual sucks.
normally in these old games, we're like, okay, you're gonna need to read the manual before you start playing. No, seriously, read the manual. Don't bother. Do not bother. It's missing things. It's not accurate. Um,
Yep. What's the biggest thing you thought was missing from the manual? I'll bet I know the answer.
you want to write it on a piece of paper and hold it up, but it's
Like Kreskin.
building descriptions.
Yes, there are none.
None.
No building descriptions.
So this is a game about city management, about building buildings, and we do not talk about buildings in the manual.
Right. You can
You're
get a
killing
hint
me. Yeah.
in the game, kind of.
If you know where to look, and usually only after you've built it.
Right.
Thanks.
That is a terrible system.
It's a horrible system.
And it's not clear. Like I didn't know that granaries gave everyone in your kingdom access to the food. I thought.
Oh, guess what I just
I thought-
learned?
I think I read that in a FAQ or something somewhere because
wow.
I don't think it's in the manual. I didn't go back and verify if
Okay.
that was the case or not, but the point stands that
Mm-hmm.
I mean you can look at your food storage numbers, but you don't know what it means.
No.
Like, because you do need to distribute sometimes food.
Right. Because yeah, I had people starving. I was running out of money in some places.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's me planning to send a bunch of people to go fight a ton of bats.
Yeah, that's a lot of bats.
It's a lot of bats. And it's really intimidating. But if you get a good sized group of people to go in there and attack the monster layers, it's not too bad. One of the things you need to know, once you destroy the monster layer, all the monsters around it that you haven't cleared out make a beeline for your cities.
Oh yeah.
Which I did not know the first time.
That one you learn by doing it.
You do. I kind of feel bad spoiling it for people, but in the next breath, you should know. You should.
Yeah, you should know what to expect. Yeah. So yeah, you'd be happier wiping out all the bats around,
Yep. Or at least
and
most of
then
them.
yeah, but whatever.
Whatever. What did you think of the graphics?
I didn't mind them. Like I thought the sprites were pretty good. But what drives me crazy is the
I know already.
terrain, right?
Yeah.
Like this isn't bad. What you have on the screen here is not bad, but sometimes you'll be on a hill
Hmm.
and you've got buildings
If you're
under the hill.
Yeah, if you're on the upward slope, because you can't turn the camera. The way you're looking is the only way
Right.
you can look in the game. So if you're looking down a hill, you'll see the line, sort of the ground level for this area, but all your stuff's built behind it and down. So the terrain's hiding what you've just built. You can't see your farm plots. You can't see anything that's flat at all.
Yeah,
And then
so frustrating.
Yeah, and then some things like trees and stuff, you're not sure if they're in your square or the one behind it
Right.
because there's a sizing issue to things that you're not. It's neat that you can see all the way back there, but it messes
Yeah.
with you sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Like that happened with rocks a lot because
Hmm.
rocks are you have to mine a rock to get
Or,
gold and ore and gems and such. So they're crucial to the game.
hmm,
Uh, but if you're not really aware of if it's on this screen or the next screen,
right.
it can be.
A little
And so,
frustrating.
so if you want to like kind of understand how the view works, the best way to do it, I think, is to build walls because that really makes you appreciate the slots for
Hmm.
buildings
Yeah,
because they all come together and you can really understand like where the buildings sit
right.
on the screen. So there's basically like four slots on
Hmm.
every screen,
Yeah,
and if a tree will take up one. Like I didn't get the ruins. Like I was excited the first time I saw that's what all those things are back
yeah,
there. I was really excited the first time I saw ruins. I'm like, oh, I'm going to explore these ruins. But you just have to like tear them down and you
yeah,
get one gold.
yeah,
It's like, thanks.
yep. No, it's meant to just be like background scenery. It's not anything you necessarily need to work with. It's neat that they do stuff like that and give the terrain some character.
Yeah.
Um, the water in this scene is making me that the water is horrendous in
Oh,
this game. It's so poorly done. Um,
yes. It makes perfect sense on the
the
overhead
overhead,
map.
yes.
That's fine.
Hmm.
But when it comes time to build a bridge on your main view, on your realistic view,
Right.
good luck, buddy, because it's going to be a huge pain in the ass.
Yep.
But overall, like I like the kind of pixely
Hmm.
graphics and everything, and the polygon terrain was. I don't know how you could have done it better unless you let me rotate the camera.
Let you rotate the camera, or whenever you're in a tile, everything is at that ground level, even though it might be past it, so you're not getting stuff hidden behind it. It is a flat thing.
Yeah,
It would have been nice. Would have at least been something.
right.
Um, Water could have been a little less polygonal. Some smoothing math in there to
Yeah,
stretch it out where it needs to stretch and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, and then seasons change, which I think is interesting for the graphics.
I like that. Yeah, the graphics change and it has impact on how fruitful your crops are.
Right.
That's another thing that I thought was weird about this game. As part of the money system, there's like precious few ways to generate income.
Trees for
Uh,
some reason.
yeah, but only trees that you claim,
Claim. If it's just a tree, screw you. You've got to
right?
claim it, which costs money.
I built a forestry camp
Hmm.
because it said it would automatically claim trees. I don't think it did. I don't know. Maybe I'm not patient enough, but
I
it
think
didn't
you're not
seem
patient
like it.
enough. I have had ones where they've auto claimed trees on me, but I've also had lots of cases where I'm like, you should have claimed this tree by now. What is
Right.
going on? So I think it's just busted. It's probably something that
Yeah,
somehow there's some rule that's broken on it. Um, what
but
else did you
but
build that was weird?
oh man, everything was weird. I mean, the the well, the other thing about the money system is one of the sources of money is farmland.
Yeah.
So you should just like not worry about how much farmland you're building. And the same with markets. Like build 8 markets on or 4 markets on every square if you want to. Like there's no there's no detriment.
Yeah, there's no. One of the things I think is missing in this game that I think would have made it a slightly more interesting, deeper game is if building in a tile affected it and its surrounding tiles. So maybe building a market somewhere might give a bonus to maybe inns in the neighboring squares, or a granary in the middle might have helped neighboring farmlands. I don't know, something where there's some symbiosis between buildings and other buildings, and there just isn't any.
Yeah, the only place it matters like is if you have farmland by water, it like doubles the output,
Oh,
which is cool.
okay.
Yeah,
Learned that
that
just
was
now.
the only section I agree that the manual is shitty, but there's a section at the end that tells you gameplay tips. Skip the rest of the manual and just read that one section, or read a. There's someone's got a really good FAQ on
Oh, do
this
they? Okay.
out there on the internet. I pasted it in our notes. I don't know if you want to include it on the bottom, but
I probably
it
will.
it outlines what the buildings do, which was so nice to have,
I
and
can
it's like
see it.
accurate, unlike the
Nice.
game.
Like a game.
Yeah. Anyway, so with the pyramids, I was going to ask you like, so when you're building,
Mm-hmm.
you have the option of cranking your build part of your pyramid all the way up, and that will make your building go faster. Did you do that?
Sometimes. Sometimes. Um, like when I started overproducing people, when I had reached a certain amount of urban sprawl where it was like, okay, I'm not even building new buildings anymore. You guys are just sort of hanging out. I'd
Yeah,
pick somewhere where I wanted something to upgrade or something like that, and I just crank it all the way up to build or build and train. Or
yeah,
more often, what I would do is crank it all up on train. Is once everything in there was built, I would drop building all the way down.
yeah. I did that too, but I wound up a lot of times, and maybe it's just my poor organizational skills, but like I would do that thinking, oh, I'm such a good manager, like I'm gonna make these guys build. But then the building would finish and I'd forget,
Yeah,
and so I just wasted all that time. So I should have probably just left it in the middle and just like, well,
that's kind of where I end up most of the time, is just leaving it alone because it's faster. I mean, it's long term because I'm not paying attention. It's the faster way to go with things.
right. It's a good mechanic, I
Mm-hmm.
think, and it's a really interesting implementation too with the
Yes.
pyramid and the 3 colors. I think that's really cool, and it's like easy to visualize.
Oh, oh,
Oh,
here we go.
divide error. Wow.
Yep. Boom. Okay. Well, great. Now
The
I gotta.
old divide error. Wow, yeah, that never happened. Didn't you get some really bizarre error messages in your
Yeah, I got a few. Um.
we'll give you a sec here to I'll
Yeah.
shut up.
No, it's.
I can just I can prattle on uh about something. And the other thing that's weird
There's so
as you
many
can
things.
see under the pyramid is that bar.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you attract units. So like when you have a unit come in through recruiting, uh, there's 3 statuses. They can be home, unassigned, and ready. And if
Mm-hmm.
you attract someone, you'll attract the ready people first, then the unassigned, and the home people will never come,
Right.
which is a pretty good system, but I don't know that I understand how you would use unassigned versus ready because Like, if I want you to go somewhere, what do I care if you're ready or unassigned? What's the difference?
Yeah, I don't.
I guess if you're building an army and like, no, I don't know. It's unnecessary, but
And this is where the actual control over the units is just so wrong, just so screwed up. Like that menu we just zipped past there, that's not right. And then
yeah,
um
yeah. This is a really important
say,
screen.
let me pause this just for a second so we can kind of talk about this. And I'm going to drag you. Oops. Pause.
Whoa! Did that fit? Was that
There,
funny?
no, it was funny, but I wasn't dragging you yet. Um. Oh, so I uncovered you. Your stats and your character stats and the party stats, the strength, intelligence, wisdom,
Yeah.
dexterity, con, charisma. What are they for? Do we know what they're for? Like, I put time into rolling these, and I don't know that it matters.
Right. The only one I know is charisma is how fast you attract new people because I read that
Okay.
somewhere.
Okay, that makes sense. That's kind of
I
cool.
I imagine the rest have to do with your troops.
Do they?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
No,
either.
probably not. I don't know.
Because, yeah, you're playing these characters, but you never see them. They're not on the screen. Their strength isn't helping you fight. So
Right.
I don't understand, is the takeaway.
Yeah, me neither. I
Um,
spent a lot of time, and I rolled up a really awesome character,
mm-hmm.
and then I was left questioning afterward, like why,
Why did I do this? Why did I spend the
why?
time grinding it in? Um, because it's fun to roll up characters. I mean, that's
Yeah,
really it in a
that's the
nutshell.
answer. That's one of my favorite parts of any like D&D game
Yeah,
is just getting a sweet roll on a character.
yeah,
So anyway, so the stuff on the left makes no difference, so don't even worry about it.
right.
Uh,
Population and housing is important.
yep,
Um,
that's pretty self-explanatory. You so if you don't have enough housing, you'll recruit people slower.
hmm
So you want to have a surplus of housing.
right.
And then if you look on the right side, you'll see the third button down is auto build,
Yep.
which I recommend not using.
Me too. It just
Uh,
fills up your space with stuff that you might have wanted to do something else with.
right, and it makes people. Well, what happens if you don't have a person homed on a square where you have a building? That building wears down.
Mm-hmm.
So usually when I get someone new, I know where I want them to go, and it's usually to a rock to mine it because I'm broke. So I don't want you to go like build a house that I have to either abandon or just let you live there. Like I
Right.
don't want you to auto build. So yeah, so don't auto build. But then you got to be really cognizant of your population and housing.
Right. Food
Right.
production's kind of important. Same reasons. Helps you recruit people, makes them happier. You need a certain amount of happiness to get promotions from being a good city planner.
Yep.
Um, income, gold, and vault storage should all be self-explanatory as well. It's how much gold you're making per turn.
Yeah.
Uh,
How long is the turn?
I don't know. The instructions should
Me
tell you.
either.
Let's look it up.
Are you being facetious? Because I'm
I
gonna
might be.
try.
You go ahead and try. I don't think it
All right.
tells you.
I don't either. I know
And
you can hit spacebar to advance time, but I don't know by how much.
yeah, I wanted to talk about that because I found that out on sort of the last game I was playing. I'm I was having an incredible game. So this is the last crash was why I'm like, okay, I got to stop playing this game until I figure out what's happening. Um, but if you pause the game and then hit spacebar, time moves much faster than if you just let the game play. So like hitting pause and hitting space a bunch of times will actually zip you through and move your people sector to sector. So when you hit pause and hit space, it moves. It's a person moving an entire sector, however
Really?
long that is. Yes.
But
And
if you hit space while it's unpaused, it still says time advances, but not as fast.
I don't know. I didn't try actually.
No,
That's something I might have to go back and try now. I just presumed
I,
that you only did that when it was paused.
I don't. It says time passes, but I don't know. I guess it does, like in kind of the philosophical sense.
We're
Because you sit
we're
there,
still learning stuff about this game.
yeah, yeah, and we shouldn't be. That's the thing. Like if the manual were any good, this should not be like
No.
an
And
exploratory process.
I mean, I think I put this month, I think I put 20, 25 hours in on this game. And I mean, that's not the most I've ever put in on any game, but we've played it before. This
Right,
isn't new to us.
right,
Um, I mean, we played it not necessarily pre-internet, but pre-useful internet.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, I don't know. I
it's
anyway,
yeah, and then you've got some really useful information in the right menu. You can see your people, your property,
yeah.
and you'll need that
Hmm.
because it's really hard to keep track of what you're building unless you use that stuff.
Right.
That was my experience. Because like you'll have a situation, for example, where your food stored and your food storage are the same,
Hmm.
and your natural reaction is going to be, oh, I need to bust out a granary like pronto.
Yeah.
But if maybe you forgot because time scale is so screwed up that you're already building one.
Hmm.
Like, oh, so now you've got like way too much food storage. So
Right.
you have to like stay on top of this stuff. I mean, it's you can't just
And
uh,
there's where, like I was talking about with the party, your multitasking skills, because each
right,
one has their own set of these. These aren't for the entire kingdom. No,
right,
no. These are for just Ladria here, my cleric.
right. Your next guy might have a totally different
Yeah.
situation and might be building, you know, their own set of
Right.
granaries. So it's really hard unless you use those screens. Census I didn't use
I didn't
as
use too much
much.
either. It was kind of handy when I was getting into some of my bigger wars because it let me know, hey, I got a level 5 guy out there somewhere. Let's go grab
Yeah,
him and figure out where
track
he
him
is.
down. Yeah,
Um,
but the menus aren't really good though either.
no.
Like it's on. I don't know how they could have done it because I don't. I guess scroll bar technology wasn't around in 1993, but they're all on different buttons like summary 1, summary 2, summary 3. They're alphabetical.
It definitely, I mean, the thing about the 90s in video games, and it's one of the things that makes it very interesting, the early 80s and the early 90s both had something that I think is just fascinating and I love about them, and that's that they were inventing new types of games. So, what menus were, how screens worked, what we were doing with graphics, all bets were off sometimes. You'll find something like this that had a 3D landscape with 2D graphics, weird button menu searches, worked like games that hadn't come out yet. I mean, this was before Warcraft, I want to say, and this is before real RTSs. I think Dune 2 was out, but
Yeah,
you know, it was an untapped genre that people hadn't quite come up with a consistent interface for. And so a lot of them just threw anything at the wall to see what stuck. And you're going to get some interesting ways of doing
right,
things that it's fun to sometimes go back and look, and sometimes they do it better and sometimes they do it much worse.
right. Like you can pin down like, oh, this game was like one of the first to do
This.
blah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like that's really interesting
Hmm.
to look at it in the context of what came after it because nowadays I would venture to say that
We know.
games are pretty much set in a genre. Like your RTS game is going to have these elements. You're going to have dudes that you upgrade, that you move, blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, and we know the formula. We know what you need to do for user controls. We know what you need to do for graphics. We know. So there's this sort of homogenization of gaming that needs to happen so that people can sit down and just naturally interface with things. You need to know that WASD works, even though it should be ESDF.
It should not.
Heathens. It should absolutely be ESDF. Um,
Ugh, so stupid.
yeah, WASD is horrible.
What was
Anyway,
no? What was the first game? Like that would be an interesting thing to go back and figure out the first game that shipped with the
with
controls
WASD,
WASD,
it would be
uh,
really interesting.
because that is like a turning point because everything is like that now.
Yeah. Quake?
It may have been like Quake or Quake 2 or something.
It, I'm gonna look.
I remember someone telling me like, "Oh, dude, set your keys up for WASD and Doom. It's awesome."
I
I'm
was
like,
at
"Okay."
the house. We were at. I don't remember the guy's name. We were at somebody's house, and he sat down, and he's like, "Yeah, I play with mouse and keyboard." And you and I looked at each other like, that is an awful idea. What are you talking about? You
Yeah,
play
like
with mouse and keyboard?
no, just use the keyboard,
Yeah, just use the
idiot.
keyboard. That's the right answer. And then he proceeded to destroy us.
Yep,
Not kinda, not sorta.
yep,
Destroyed us, and we went back to our place and just figured it out because there was
yep.
no way that was happening again. Um,
Yeah. Anyway, what the hell are we talking about here?
interfaces and new game designs and new
Right,
ways of doing things. Because like with this game, this is the first time I've been dragging us around the screen to show the screen. The screen is so interesting because it's so
right,
wrong, um,
right.
and that
Yeah.
there's a fun game behind it is genuinely interesting to me. Like, what do you think makes this game fun?
God, that's a great question. I think it's for me. What kept me like really wanting to play it was watching my kingdom grow and like uh, to solve that next problem or like just to yeah, just the kingdom building aspect I really liked, and like I would like I'm gonna because you can I'm gonna say this too. It's really important that when you start, these maps are really big, so find a really good place to put your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's crucial. But so I would have this like grand plan, like so I'm gonna build a wall between these two bodies of water and blah blah blah, and what I like about the game is that those plans don't really fall apart like they do in a lot of other
Yep.
games. Like you could never sit down and start an XCOM game with with that. Like, oh
You
yeah,
can't sit down and start an XCOM game with a plan. What are you
no,
talking about?
no. But you can do that here.
Yeah, you
You can
can.
do that here. You can
Yeah, I
yeah,
always
you
looked
can
for
make
a
a
natural moat, like something that was going to wall me off on several sides and give
yep.
me a little cushion. Um,
And that's great. Like that's what I liked because then you build the wall and you're like, I feel good. Like I
yeah,
did it. I accomplished and like yeah, granted, no, never got attacked that way, but whatever. I built the wall,
right.
and I made the ants pay for it.
There's our
Topical.
political humor for the evening.
You're welcome. Here's a question:
Okay,
How often and why did you upgrade your shit in this game?
often,
Often.
often, because I would rather I would rather have a smaller footprint and have more of my people out kicking ass, um, than worry about sprawl.
Hmm.
However, based on the rules for how you level up, I probably chose the wrong path.
Well,
Unless
my
you want to have the destruction path, which in that case,
right. My take on it is that it's way too expensive. Uh, your incentive, for at least because I struggled with money in this
mhm,
game. I never struggled with food, nothing else. Money, not even combat. Always running out of money, and it's so variable because so much of your money comes from mines,
and
and
farms.
and when your mine peters out, it's a huge hit to your
How
income.
often did you upgrade your farms?
Very rarely. Okay. point taken. But my point is, what's it cost to upgrade a farm?
Um, I would have to look, but it's a matter of, and that's part of why the faster you get it upgraded, the more benefit you're going to get out of it because it's a one-time fee to upgrade, but then it creates more money permanently.
I suppose. How much? Like I,
I
I
want to say it's like
should
a
have done it
hundred.
more.
I want to say the first time's 100, and then the second time's like 500. To go up to a plantation is spendy, and there's another thing. So each race, the upgrades are completely different. So buildings that you think operate one way will operate completely differently for another class or race. Elf trees are a good example. They give housing and other stuff to elves that the other people
Oh,
don't get.
I didn't
Um,
know that.
yeah, but they cost more to upgrade.
Yeah,
So
but a
it
new field costs 10,
yeah.
and to upgrade a field costs 100
Hmm.
or more. I want to say it's more, but like to upgrade a house is 300.
Yeah. But you
That's a
get
lot.
like more, you get so much more in the house. Like
Yeah,
it does, it pays off in the long run. It doesn't necessarily pay off in the short run, so you need to balance upgrading with expanding, which is, I think, to me that's what I think's fun about this game is I'm going to complain in a few moments about how there's not enough difference to everything that's in there,
mhm.
but we've just talked about two very different ways to play that we both
True.
had a ton of fun in. You have a
Right,
very
and
expansionist, city focused. I'm out conquering and then trying to build, quality
like
city.
dens.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I will say, like, I'm not advocating doing it the way I did. I it just maybe it says a lot about my personality, but I just had sticker shock.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna
I'm
build
not
10
paying that.
farms.
Fuck you,
Yeah,
peasants.
100. Like, fuck you. Like, I'll just recruit and I'll build
There's some dirt and twigs over there.
farms
Make your own
everywhere. Yeah.
house.
Yeah, so I'm not going to argue with you that my way was better because I in fact next time I play I'm probably going to be way more upgrade focused, and that makes me want to start like my fifth
Hmm.
Stronghold game because every time you play it you kind of
Learn a little, you get a little better. I
yeah
think I was going to say there's two things in that sentence that I want to talk about. That one is I'm not going to advocate to play my way. I think either way works, and
yeah
that's one of the really sort of cool things about it. But what was the other thing? Um,
well, I don't even remember what I said.
you're going to say you weren't going to advocate my way because you're going to play for the fifth time.
Oh right, because I'm going to start a new game. Yeah,
Oh,
because every time you play you learn.
high skill ceiling. So it's a very low bar to entry. It does not take a lot for you to get to. They leave you alone for a while. You're not going to get killed in 3 seconds in this game. You've got
Yeah,
time to build a village and to expand and to get your feet under you before stuff starts happening. So that's really cool. But to get good at the game, to really get everything balanced, you're going to play it 5, 6, 10 times. And you're going to have fun every time. And you're going to be a little better every time. You're not going to feel this stall out situation where you suddenly
yeah,
just feel stagnant. Um, Even though I
yeah.
was crashing and feeling like I was on track to win every game I was on, I still got better every time and knew like, okay, I can do the next one faster. I can do the next one better. I can.
Right. And yeah, it's not the kind of thing like you're gonna get bored and say, oh, I miss how it was at the beginning. No, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get really far, and then you're gonna be like, I have done so much wrong, and I know now how to do it so much better that I want to go start again.
Yes. And you're going to have
So
fun
gladly.
doing it again. Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
And I
Like
can't.
the last game I played, I've hardcore managed my pyramids, and it adds a lot of depth to the game, and but you don't have to do it.
No. You can be as good or as bad as you want, and it rewards you either way. For a game that I don't want to say punishes you with a bad interface, more like hinders you with a bad interface, it rewards you quite a bit for getting good at it and learning about it and digging in and figuring out what's going on. And that's something I don't see done well in a lot of games. So with everything else that's busted, that part's really good.
I also like that as you advance as a leader, you get more buildings.
Mm-hmm.
That's really nice because it adds like you get excited about getting the bazaar because
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, now you're going to get to do these extra things, or the bathhouse, and you're going to get to do these extra things. Well, not really
yeah
do any extra things, but it changes how your people advance and grow and what they can, how much money they can hold and stuff like that. And
yeah
you watch your city get bigger and more impressive buildings. That's another reason I liked upgrading is the buildings look better.
right
So
yeah they
you
do
feel a little more awesome when you've upgraded a couple times. Um, so yeah, that said, I think there were a bunch of missed opportunities here with the possibility for some more buildings. I
yeah
think
I
that
would agree
there's no like good, neutral, and evil specific buildings.
that would be huge
That would be
yeah
huge. That would have made a really much more like you're like, why would I choose my alignment? And it's really basically a skill choice or a difficulty choice for the game.
but like the enemies you can also have peaceful aggressive whatever enemies so I don't know if there's a direct analog to difficulty with alignment.
Yeah.
It's just a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, your point stands. Like if I'm evil, I should be able to have like a puppy
I
furnace.
was gonna say like a series of spikes with bodies along them that instead of a
Yeah,
wall scare enemies further away or
yeah,
something where there's just a bit more character between each of the things. Um,
right. Churches for your lawful or like yeah, police
something,
stations or
yes,
something like that.
something with just a touch more character.
That's a really good point. And I also got kind of bored with the buildings
Mhm.
because you reach a point where your city's so big, you've built everything that you can build.
Yep,
So basically, you're just upgrading and cranking out more farms and more houses and more of the same shit, with
that's
the occasional bazaar coming in.
that's one of the reasons why I can have a game that crashed at near my end game every time and still not have me hate on this game because I should be pissed. I should be pissed that I played 4 games and all 4 of them crashed on me.
Yeah, it's kind of a dry hump, but
Yeah, but that I was able to do this and be like, because it's the beginning of the game's the fun part. Well, the very beginning is kind of slow, and then there's this long middle stretch that's a lot of fun. But you hit a
yeah,
point where if you're working on like the conquering path, you're done. You have an army walking around that is going to win against anything,
right.
and you just now have to go through the motions of sweeping everything up,
Yeah,
um, which is okay, but
yeah, that's
uh,
fun. I mean,
yeah,
it's fun to do that. Managing your army can be kind of a pain.
can be a pain because you have to go to those little pyramids we were talking about and be like, I want all my elves to show up. I want all my dwarves to show up. I want all my mages to show up. I want all my da 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 da. So
Yeah, because they're not gonna like command and conquer on their own. You
no,
gotta drag them around the whole map. This is what we
yeah,
were talking about with the lack of scroll bars.
right,
This this is like you're building one armory. That's what it means in parentheses. Uh, so this interface is goofy, and then you can see each kind, which is also a series of buttons that spans 3 pages. But it works. I mean, it's fine.
yeah.
It's not perfect, but
No, but it gets you the information. Like it's a
yeah,
spreadsheet, but it gets you the information.
yeah.
So um,
Hey, did you notice that the clerics look kind of like Will Ferrell?
no,
And at one point, like sometimes they look like they're carrying lightsabers.
yeah, well, because they have enchanted weapons.
Oh,
When their weapons get up to be
well,
enchanted and stuff, when they're high enough level, they actually have magic weapons. There was a monster I was fighting that said can only be hit by +2 weapons, and I'm like,
oh,
well, shit.
huh. Yeah, you
Yeah.
have no walls, do you?
No.
I'm looking around. You know, that's probably a good move because they're really expensive to maintain
Yeah.
and they burn like a whole square.
They.
You can't
Yeah.
build anything. You got to
No.
have a guy there.
I've built a couple. I don't think in this one I built one, but I had another game where I actually built some walls because I knew I was just gonna tear through some monster stuff, and so I put some archers in there and just let the walls do their job. Um,
Yeah.
just looking through our notes here, seeing if there's anything else we want to talk about. You liked the music a lot.
Yeah, I did. It's kind of, and every leader has their own kind of music, and
Hmm.
when you click into the guy,
Yep.
like here, you would
You would
hear,
have heard music if
or
we had music going. Yeah.
actually, I think it's when you click on the soldiers, which is
Mm.
usually how I get into this screen. You
Oh,
you click right on the
yeah.
right on the name, which is way better because then you don't have to hear the first bar of the music over and over again. Like if you click on that, there's your lightsaber cleric there,
Yep.
which by the way they are lightsabers. I'm pretty sure
Okay. Well,
they're not enchanted
they're not
weapons.
enchanted. Here you can see how I'm kind of building behind the hills, though. Like you
Yeah,
can see
yeah,
the
this
hills
is a
are
good
blocking your
example.
stuff.
And what's really annoying is that sometimes there'll be a really steep hill,
Hmm.
and there'll be a tree on it that you can claim, and you'll decide, oh, I want to build a house here, and you'll chop the tree down, and then you'll go to place the house, and it'll say,
No,
no, dumbass, this terrain is way too steep.
way too
Like,
steep.
would have been good to know. Like, I
Yeah.
guess a tree can live there. Can I build another tree?
If you're an elf,
Can you?
I think as elves can build their own trees. Yeah.
Oh, I
Which
should
to
have
me
played
is what
elves.
foresters should let you do. Like, and there's,
Yeah,
I feel like the building should let you do other things like that. Like foresters should let you do that. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but that's one of them.
I think it would be cool if the dwarves could like do some kind of different mining that didn't rely on finding those rocks. Like there's sandy looking hills.
Hmm.
It would be cool if you could like just tell them,
Tunnel. Yeah.
yeah, tunnel, and then maybe they'll find something, or maybe you get a slower
Hmm.
stream of income from there.
Do a
Because I
dwarf
really,
deep mine. Yeah.
yeah, I really think that the generating income in this game is a bit too slow,
I
a
feel
bit
like
too
the game
challenging.
is a solid A minus B plus.
I agree with that.
That
Totally agree.
it's really good. It's got some faults. It's got some things that it could have done a little better. I would recommend it, but at the same time, if you didn't like it, that's not a surprise to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's great, like, to be able to look out across your kingdom, like you were
Hmm.
doing back there, or
Yeah,
even to some extent here. Like, that's really cool, and it was new. Like, I can't
yeah.
think of any other games that did that.
To go for a 3D RTS, and what'd you say, 95 this was?
93, I
Oh,
think.
93. Yeah,
Yeah.
that just earned this a bunch more points to me. Like, that I'm thinking this came out in 95, 98, and it came out in 93 is really impressive. And very much explains why the interface is shit because there was nothing to pattern it on. There was no good
Yeah.
or bad examples.
For a 1993 game, the interface is actually pretty good, I would say.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, what else have we played from the early 90s? Um, well,
System
the
Shock
XCOM interface, yeah, System Shock. That had a
had a
terrible
shitty interface.
interface.
XCOM has
Way,
a shitty interface. The,
yep,
the early 90s have just shitty interface. Just
yeah,
the end. But if you're playing like it's because we had a new level of graphics we could bring to gaming. So we didn't know what to do with it.
yeah,
Where like when you're thinking about the early 80s and you're getting your first 3D dungeons and your first tile-based games, those interfaces were horrible and then got polished by like 1988. You had good tile-based engines and good tile-based interfaces. And then when you get to this, it's like, well, none of that works anymore. None of that really lets you control this. So
Right.
what do we do? And so I give it a little bit of a pass for that reason, and for the fact that I think I was on my second game before it annoyed me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's
And
bad, but
it's not
it's
game breaking.
no.
It's not infuriating. It's just like mildly inconvenient.
Yeah, it takes you an extra couple clicks to get where you need to go, and it's not pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm. I, yeah, the only game breaking thing for me is that the game broke for me. But other than that,
What was the one error you got that you put in the notes? Error 3126. Give Catherine both numbers.
oh yeah, who's Catherine?
And what are the numbers? Like, what do they mean?
Yeah,
We should find out
we
who
should.
worked at SSI in '93 that was named Catherine.
Oh, I gotta find her.
We should give her the numbers and
Give her the
see what
numbers.
she can do.
3126, Catherine. Need to know. I hunted you down.
Yeah, she's probably dead. Let's be honest.
Oh, charge.
Yeah. This got dark
It's
real
really dark,
fast.
really fast. Catherine's probably fine. She's not probably watching this,
I,
but she's
I
probably
wish her my
fine.
best.
Yes. If you are watching, Catherine, could you please tell us what 3126 means?
Yep. You've got both numbers. It's all on you now.
Oh,
'Cause there was some dude who would never give her the second number, and she was just like, "Oh, god damn it!" Like 31 what?
31 what? 31 doesn't help me. I need the 26. Could be 28. Could be 28.
Right.
Don't know. Oh my god.
That's wonderful.
That's really great. Anything else you want to say about this game before we?
I think we covered it.
Yeah.
I recommend it. If you can
Yeah.
tolerate the interface, if you can get over the kind of weirdness of it,
Mhm.
just it's out of the box, so
Yeah.
it's not going to be like much else that you've probably played.
No.
But it's fun.
It's
It's a
fun.
good time.
That's it. Like I said, we were playing Elite. We were having fun with that. I had gotten Civ 6 sort of the same time we'd started this, and I still found myself playing this. Even though I had both those other games to play, I still came back and played this happily, which is, I think, the best thing I can say for it. That said, next month, because this is December and we'll get to things when we get to things, our plan is to kind of we're each going to pick a tiny game for each other to play. I'm picking Load Runner, which is a classic arcade game.
Very good.
You'll
I think
genuinely enjoy it.
I don't know that I ever played Lode Runner. What was it on? Commodore?
It's on Commodore. It might be on Apple. Side platformer. You run around trying to get, I think it's supposed to be gold, but they're little blocks. And you're running along, you're like doing hand over hand along poles and climbing up and down ladders. And your weapon is that you blast blocks in the ground and make holes for the other guys to fall in, and then you can run over the top of them. And if they stay there too long, the thing closes in on them and crushes them. But otherwise, they climb out and keep chasing you. It is definitely a classic game and one that's well loved by a lot of people. So you'll get a kick out of it. And did you pick one? Did you decide on one?
I'm gonna pick Dark Lord.
Very good.
It's a puzzle game, one of those games where you walk in a direction and every screen is a different scene, and it's a game that you can beat in 10 minutes if you know how.
Cool.
But if you do it, you'll miss the awesome Dark Lord music. So don't beat it in 10 minutes.
Don't beat it in 10 minutes. Take your
No,
time.
just
Find
let
the Dark
the
Lord music.
wash over you. Yeah, just enjoy it.
Okay. And then, so these things we probably won't talk too much about on the next one. So what we'll also do is we'll do a rundown of the year. I think that'll be a fun year tradition. Go back through all our games. What were our favorites? What were our least? What surprised us? This will obviously be one of the surprises. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and yeah, I think that's it for this time. So thanks everybody for watching,
Thank you.
and we'll talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Me either. All right. Hi everybody, this is Chris,
This is Matt.
and we're going to talk about Stronghold today. I'll start it playing in the background here. Maybe.
What year was this made? Pop quiz hot shot.
98, wasn't it?
98. I don't know. I meant to look it up before we.
I actually think that's probably completely not true.
Well, whatever. It was definitely in the 90s.
Yeah.
This thing's got 90s all over it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely in the 90s. Press escape to exit full screen mode. We are 30 seconds in, and I have already fucked this up.
Unprofessional. We don't know what year
unprofessional.
this thing was made. No one knows anything.
Why don't you look that up while I try and fix what's going on here?